This took place 10 years ago when I was 23 years old. For some context, I'm a male and live in the suburbs of a major city in the US. For the most part, the city was relatively peaceful and quiet. The crime rate was low and the people were friendly. I've made a few friends with the locals of my neighborhood and always saw this city as a place where I could be free. However, that all changed in just one evening. It was New Year's Eve of 2013, and I was sitting in my lawn chair getting ready to watch the fireworks my neighbors were doing. They went all out with fireworks every year, and why buy some when you could just see their show? So there I am, sitting in front of my driveway drinking a beer when I hear someone start screaming from down my street. Keep in mind, this was about 2 in the morning, so this was around the time where people had been sleeping. I then see a woman turn the corner, banging on doors while screaming her head off. She's blurting out these demands to let her in, that she needs help, and that he's, quote, chasing me. By the looks of it, she looked distressed and seemed as if she had just gotten out of a fight. At this point, the family across the street had already launched their fireworks and everyone was inside. I fold up my yard chair and go back inside to lock the front door, debating on whether or not to call the police. About 3 minutes later, the woman who had been screaming then came to my door and starts pounding on it. She explains that this, quote, guy is trying to chase her and that she demands to come in. Now, my house is located where I could see down my street, and when I did, I hadn't seen anybody out there other than her. I'm not one to deny help to someone in need, but there was something off about this woman. Something told me that the only person who was in danger was me. She's pleading for me to let her in, and I tell her that I couldn't, but that I could call the cops if she'd like me to. She disregards my offer and still insists on letting her in, only this time in a more demanding tone. I tell her no once again and to please leave my property. It was only when I said that where she then leaned in closer and said 5 words that have haunted me ever since. You made the right decision. After she says that, her demeanor completely changed. She was no longer screaming and she no longer looked distressed. She just turned around and walked away into the night away from my house. I never saw that woman since that day, and I hope I never have to. Throughout my life, I've always thought that I lived in a nice city, but I guess I overestimated it. It's safe to say that scary things can in fact happen at night. Because scary things do happen at night, especially on New Year's. This just goes to show you that nothing good happens after dark.
This terrible thing happened about 15 years ago. I was 20 years old and living alone. I came home from work, checked the post as I usually do, and found a sealed letter. It was a blank envelope. Inside there were 2 tickets to a concert and a letter. A love letter. The writer's feelings for me were quite clear. It went something like this. Let's meet at the concert. I'll keep my identity hidden until we meet. I'm sure you'll be surprised. I'm someone you know. I had a boyfriend at the time, and I had no idea who wrote that. I thought for a moment that I won a competition or something. I remembered that I entered one. But then I remembered that I had entered that competition only this morning, so there's no way that the tickets could be in my letterbox by the evening. Something wasn't right, so I didn't go to the concert. I thought that if it truly is someone that I know, as soon as they reveal themselves to me, then I'd apologize, and I'm sure if they are a decent and kind person, they'd understand my caution. The day after the concert, I found a threatening-looking letter stuffed into my letterbox. Why didn't you come? You idiot! Don't pretend like you aren't interested. This is BS. The first letter was gentlemanly in a sense, but this was the complete opposite. Back then, mobile phones weren't so common. As soon as I returned home from work, the moment I closed my front door, my home phone rang. I picked it up, and the other party hung up. This happened often. I didn't get a call or letter every single day. It was irregular. I would get one a week, and then the next week I'd get 3 or 4. This kind of thing went on for about 3 months. It was so creepy that I ended up moving away. Finally, peace. Well, that's what I thought. Until 1 month after I moved into a new place, the same thing started again. I didn't get a call this time, but I found another blank envelope in my letterbox. There was no sender's address or name, so it must have been posted by hand. When I saw this, it was clear to me that I had a stalker, and the stalker had found my new home. I was really scared. I took the letter to the police station and spoke to an officer. Ignoring the other party is the most effective thing you can do. As soon as he realizes that he's being ignored, he will stop. This advice doesn't solve anything, I thought. Then the officer said, "Look, women who live alone often get lonely, right? And sometimes single ladies have a tendency to allow harmless antics to get blown out of proportion." He laughed and thought I was delusional. Back in those days, the word stalker wasn't widely recognized in Japan. The laws in place aren't what they are today. I felt so sad that he didn't try to help me. He didn't back me up. It was like he took the stalker's side. I'll just move again, I thought. But around that time, my boyfriend and I were talking about marriage, so I moved back to my parents' house while we talked it over. My parents' home was in the same prefecture, but it was way out into the sticks, so commuting to work was a real pain. But I thought, at least I'd be rid of the stalker. I was wrong. Carnage and bloodshed were right around the corner for me. I finished work and headed towards the train station. On the way, a man stood blocking my way. When I tried to go one way, he stood in that way, and when I tried to go the other, he blocked me again. He towered over me. He was peering down at me. His jaw hung open, and he was breathing through his mouth. It's him. It's my stalker, I thought. But I didn't recognize him. "Why didn't you come?" he muttered. For a moment, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and then suddenly I remembered. The tickets. I knew he wanted an answer, but I couldn't say a word. It was rush hour. People were all around us. I wasn't terrified, but I was scared. It was risky. So I said in quite a loud voice, for the benefit of those around, "Excuse me, please let me pass." As I said this, people all around looked in our direction. But then my stalker did something unexpected. He turned and ran into the busy street. Right before my eyes, he was hit by a car. You may think this is quite cold-hearted, but I just thought as I rode the train home, that is not my fault. I was kind of happy that the harassment might be all over. In case you're wondering, he lived. However, one of the stalker's colleagues saw this all unfold. This guy said that it looked as if we were having a lover's quarrel. And when the stalker got hit by the car, he said that I pretended not to notice, or feigned ignorance and just walked off. This rumor was spread around by the stalker's co-worker. Every year my company, and other companies in the same line of work, have a sports day for a bit of friendly competition. I remember talking to a few people, but there were so many people I can't remember who I spoke to very well. Apparently, this is how I met my stalker. I'm usually really good at remembering faces, but I didn't recognize him. I found out that he came to my company a few times a week. I work in the personnel department, hidden away in a small office, so I don't often see people, other than the ones I immediately work with. Yet the rumors about me grew. They said that we often met at work. Of course, I denied all these false allegations, and stated the fact that I was the victim of stalking. But I wasn't convinced that anyone believed me. Another shock was in store for me. I was dumped. Although my boyfriend and I weren't officially engaged, we had set up a date for me to be introduced to his parents in his hometown, and at that point, we would officially announce our plans to engage. The rumours had reached their ears before I had arrived. As I said before, the suffering caused by stalkers wasn't well documented in Japan. They said to me when I met them, "You must have given this guy some sign that he had a chance with you. Somehow you must have given him the wrong idea. You caused his actions. Are you sure there wasn't anything going on between you two?" With this doubt and distrust imposed upon me, my boyfriend was persuaded by his parents to end our relationship. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to escape. I wanted a fresh start, so I resigned from my job as well. It has been over 20 years since this has happened, and the wounds caused by the stalker still feel fresh. My desire to work hard at the assumption that I would eventually get married and spend my life with a husband has died. I came to the conclusion that I would end up alone. So far, I'm right.
My name is Kevin, and this took place just last night with my girlfriend. It was around 1:30 a.m., and my girlfriend and I were at home debating on what to do. We weren't the type of couple to go out or party, and just preferred to do things that were a lot calmer. I eventually recommended we go to a nearby park that wasn't too far away from my apartment to just relax and keep to ourselves. Long story short, we hop in my car and drive a few minutes down the road to this park. So there we are, enjoying time to ourselves and drinking a few beers when we both see a field and I start running towards it. My main plan was to hide from her by laying down on the grass with the fog covering me so she wouldn't be able to see me. I'm on the grass laying down when she eventually finds me. We both laugh it off, and that's when my girlfriend says she sees a person in the distance. At first, I laugh it off as one of her jokes, but that's when she tells me that she's serious. At the far end of the trees was a silhouette of a man walking towards us. She keeps asking me if it really was, and I tell her that this was serious and that we had to go. Her and I start running back to the car, and the second I look back, the man is now running. We run for about a good few minutes before getting to the car and driving off. Thankfully, my knife had been in the car just in case things took a turn for the worse. That's when I look back out of my rear view mirror and see that he's now hiding behind a tree trying not to be seen. Long story short, we make it out of there okay, absolutely horrified. I then call up one of my friends who was at a party and tell him about it, to which he then offers to meet up with us. I haven't been back to that park since, and I hope I never do.
I work deep in the mountains of Kyushu. We are currently building a huge dam. My life isn't great. Thinking of my workplace and my home life moves me to tears sometimes. My mother is bedridden, and my younger brother has some behavioral issues. Both of them live with me in the dorm that the company has provided me. I really want to quit my job, but I can't. I work 11 hours a day and only get 1 day off a week. My monthly salary is 108,000 yen. The dormitory rent is 45,000 a month. Lunch a month is 9,000. There are some strange management administrative fees which are about 20,000 a month. This leaves around 30,000 yen a month to live off, which is about $265. For recreation, I go to an internet cafe about once or twice a month, because it's expensive to get there and back. It can't be helped. I have tried to run away and leave this place a few times. The company cannot be legal. It's like modern slavery. There are so many work-related injuries and deaths, it seems like no one cares. Last month I was working with cement. It was my job to grab bags of cement, open them, and send them off on a conveyor belt. It's a horrible job, but even worse when you have to do it for like 11 hours straight. I opened one bag and noticed that there was something inside. A large, thick envelope was mixed in with the cement. The cement comes from a factory about 20 kilometers away. It's in affiliation with the company I work for. I took the envelope out of the cement bag and put it to one side to read after work. When I opened the envelope later, I found a letter and a kind of rag inside. The letter read, "I work in the cement factory. My boyfriend's job was to put the stones in the crusher. On the morning of the 2nd of February, my boyfriend was loading a particularly large stone into the crusher and fell in with it. I tried to grab him, but it was too late. All I got was a piece of his shirt before he disappeared into the machine. The stones in the crusher were turned an awful red color. Then, they were transported along the conveyor belt to be crushed even smaller and heated to be made into this cement. His body, his bones, his blood is in this cement. All I have left is this scrap of his shirt. The production line was stopped due to the accident, and I was sent to the bagging line. I was forced to pack the cement that included his body. This is how I was able to get this letter in here. I'm writing this letter, hoping, praying. Whoever reads this will reply. I need to know where this cement is going and what it's going to be used for. I'm including my email address. I need you to reply. I don't want this cement to be used in building a house for someone like the director of this company. I couldn't forgive that. Please don't use this cement for something like that. He was only 26 years old. He was kind. He had a strong sense of responsibility, and he made me happy. We only started working for this company to make money for our wedding. I kept saying we should quit because of the pay and the working conditions, but he would always say, "We'll quit soon." I wish I was more forceful. I wish we quit. I had already rented the wedding dress. We were so close. I can't even bury him. There's no body. Our company provided an empty urn. Well, at least I inherited all the things he left behind in our dorm. Please email me. I need to know where this cement is being used, as it will be the closest thing he will ever have to a grave. Whoever you are, please take care of yourself, and please consider getting in touch. I had so many feelings of disgust and sadness. I need to leave this place, but I can't though, because of my mum and my brother. I really wish I could just run away. I'll quit soon though.